One of the biggest sleep mistakes I see parents make is feeling like they need to save their baby's naps, like rescue the nap, keep their baby sleeping. I've worked with a couple of families in the last few weeks who've said they've been trying to save their baby's naps. And what they mean by that is when their baby wakes from a nap, they try to resettle them so the nap is longer. Sometimes it's because their baby only slept for 10 or 20 minutes, like had a really short nap. Other times their baby might have slept for a full sleep cycle, 35, 40, 45 minutes, but they feel they should be sleeping longer, or they've been told they should be sleeping longer. So they try to extend it, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. So I just wanted to come on here and say you don't need to save your baby's naps. I usually advise parents not to because it can often lead to sleep problems, and the families I work with are often dealing with a lot of wakefulness at night. Now, there are definitely some situations where it may make sense to resettle your baby. Like if you were out in the car and your baby fell asleep, but woke up when you got home and their usual nap was cut short, like they only had 10 minutes instead of 45. In that kind of situation, it can make sense to resettle them if they'll fall back asleep. But most of the time, if your baby wakes sooner than you expected, or sooner than you hoped, or sooner than you think they should, it doesn't necessarily mean something's gone wrong. Usually it just means that that's all the sleep they needed at that point in time. What a lot of parents don't realize is that if you regularly try to extend naps, it can start to affect night sleep. And that's because babies have a set amount of sleep that they need across a 24-hour period. And unfortunately, we can't change that. It comes down to how they're wired. And so what can happen is if they nap more during the day and then you put them down at their usual bedtime, they may not be tired enough. And that's when the nights can get more fragmented. And you might see things like false starts, frequent night waking, restlessness, split nights, those kind of things that you really don't want. And this all comes back to sleep pressure. So sleep pressure is one of the two systems in the body that regulate sleep, and it builds while we're awake. And so for babies to sleep soundly for decent stretches through the night, they need to have enough sleep pressure in their system when they fall asleep at bedtime. If their naps are extended, they have less awake time over the day for that sleep pressure to build. So if your baby falls asleep for a nap and they wake after 20 or 30 or 45 minutes, you don't automatically need to save the nap. Most of the time, the best thing to do is just get them up and get on with the day. And if you're worried that might mean that there's going to be too big a gap between the last nap and bedtime, you can always use a short bridging nap, like a 10-minute nap, 20-minute nap, to get them through. So if you've been saving naps and your baby's quite wakeful at night, this might help explain what's been going on. You might find that if you just don't extend naps, it's enough to improve their sleep. So definitely give it a go. If it doesn't help, it might be because your little one's stuck in a bit of a disrupted sleep pattern, and you may need to make a few different adjustments to reset their pattern and transition them into a consistently restful pattern, which is something I help families with all the time. So if you make some changes to naps, but the nights are still wakeful, or if you see some improvements, but then they get wakeful again, reach out. Always happy to help.